Hello everyone. So this session we are going to say something about the neural networks. Okay. So in terms of neural networks, so these all are a machine learning model. So neural network is also a machine learning models. So it mimic the complex function of the human brain. Do you know the reason why it mimic the complex functions of a human brain? Our human brain also do some complex function. Okay. At a time, a human being may think several uh, thinking. Okay. So at the same time, we can write. At the same time, we can see somewhere else, so at the same time you can think different. Okay, that is a complex function how the human brain will think. So that's what the neural network which mimic the complex function of your human brain. Okay, then this model, the neural network model, it consists of several interconnected nodes. Okay, how our human brain interconnected with different neurons. The same thing in neural network, these consist of some interconnected nodes. More number of nodes are interconnected and processing the data. Then it learns the models and it enables the tasks such as a pattern recognition and some decision making. Okay, so how our human brain will interconnected with different neurons and take some decisions and learn some patterns. Similarly, the neural network concepts also, it consists of some interconnected, not some, several interconnected nodes or with neurons that processing the data and learning some patterns, and it enables the task such as pattern recognition and decision making. Okay, and the next one, the neural networks are capable of learning and identifying the patterns. Okay, so identifying the patterns directly from the data without predefined rules. Okay, so these networks are built from several key components. So what are all the key components are available using the neural network? Number one, the neurons. Okay, so this is the first one. So neurons is the basic units that receives your input. Each neuron is governed by threshold and an activation function. Okay, there are millions of neurons are available there. Okay, the basic needs, otherwise the basic units of these neurons, it must receive the input. Okay, so each neuron is governed by a threshold and an activation function. And the next one, there are different link between each neuron, that is called the connection. Okay, suppose there are millions of neurons are available there. Okay, each and every neurons having a link between each and every neurons. Okay, that is the link between neurons that carrying information regulated by weights and bias. Okay, so each and every neurons connected, interconnected with each other. Okay, each neurons carrying their own information and it is regulated by weights and biases. Okay, that is the third one, weights and biases. These parameters determines the strength and influences of connections. Okay, there are many connections are available there. Okay, interconnected neurons. In these connections, these parameters determine the strength and influences of each connection. Suppose there is a connection between A and B, the weight and biases, these parameter determines what is the strength of this A and B and what is the influence of this A and B of these connections. Okay, that is the weight and biases. And the next one, propagation function, it helps the process and transfer data across each and every layers of the neuron. That is propagation function. Okay, the process and transfer data, suppose that data must be transferred from A to B. Okay, which across the layers of neurons. Then the next one, which is called learning rule. So the learning rule, it adjusts the weight and biases. Okay, so it adjusts the weight and biases, it adjusts the strength and influence of the connection between A and B in the over time to improve the accuracy. Okay, there is a connection between A and B. Okay, so there we are having a strength and influence of both A and B. Okay, it adjusts the weight and biases. Why it adjusts this weight and biases means to improve the accuracy of that regulations. Okay, so this is called learning rule. In learning rule, in neural network follows a structured of three stages process. Number one, the input computation, then the output generation, and the third one which is called iterative refinement. So these all are the three stages of processing the neural network. Okay, so number one, input computation. Data is fed into the network. Okay, so what are all the data we want to share? Okay, that data must be fed into your network. Then output generation. So what are all the data you have fed in the network? That data, to based on your current parameters, the network generates an output. Okay, so what are all the input you fed into a network, that that input must be processed through the output generation. So it is based on your current parameters, the network generates an output. And the next one, iterative refinement. This network refines its output by adjusting the weight and bias. So already this output must be adjusted and weighting the biases. So where it comes means the learning role. Okay, it gradually improving its performance on diverse tasks. Okay, so this is called iterative refinement. In this iterative refinement, it is an adaptive learning environment. This is the adaptive learning. How it adapt to the environment means the neural network is exposed to a simulated scenario or data set. These parameters such as weight and biases are updated in response to new data or conditions. With each adjustment, the network response evolves, allowing it to adapt effectively to different tasks or an environment. So this is the example how the neurons are working. Okay, so based on this neurons, how the neural networks are defined in this machine learning model. Okay, so these are the importance of neural network. Number one, to identify some complex patterns. So there are variety of patterns are available there. How we are identifying a complex patterns? Okay, to recognize the intricate structures and relationship in data, and to adapt dynamic and changing environment through these complex patterns. This is the first one. The second one, to learn from data. So how we are learning from your data, which means to handle a vast data set efficiently. We have to handle with a huge amount of data. Here we can improve with different performance and experience and retraining from your data. That is the second one, which is called learn from data. Then the third one, which is called drive key technologies. The power natural language processing, which is called NLP, natural language processing. It enables the self-driving vehicles, supported automated decision making system. And the fourth one, which is called boost efficiency. So this is the streamline workflow and processes. It enhances the productivity across the industries. That is boost efficiency. And the next one, backbone of AI, which is called serve as the core driver of artificial intelligence progress, and it continues shaping the future of technology and innovation. That is called the backbone of AI. So these all are the layers. Okay, these all are the layers which is build the neural network architecture. There are three different layers which build the neural network architecture. Number one, which is called the input layer. Number two, which is called the hidden layer, and the last one, which is called the output layer. Okay, so what is input layer? It means this input layer where the network receives your input data. Okay, each input neuron in the layer corresponds to a feature in the input data. So whatever input the user want to process, okay, that is the input network will receive your data. Okay, so each input neuron in the layer correspond to a feature in the input. So what are all the input you are having? Okay, so these layers to correspond to correspond a features to your input data. Then hidden layers. These hidden layer performs most of your computational a heavy lifting, which means a neural network can have one or more multiple hidden layers. Okay, a neural network can have more number of hidden layers are there. In these hidden layers, which computes a heavy lifting, which means it consists of units, which means more number of neurons that transform the data inputs into something that the output layer can use. Okay, so that is second one, a hidden layer. And the third one, which is called output layer, the final layer, which is called output layer, the final layer which produce the output of your model. Okay, This format of this output varies depending on the specific task like classification and regression. Okay, so this is the diagram which shows how the input layer, the hidden layer and the output layer are. Okay, so here the input layer having more number of interconnections. Okay, there is more number of interconnections. Then we are having a hidden layer, then we are having a output layer. Okay, so the input layer where the network receives inputs data. Okay, here, so here the input data, the input layer receives more number of input data. Then the hidden layer to perform most computational heavy lifting. Okay, we can see easily there are some heavy. Okay, so there are more number of inputs from this layer, then it processing in the hidden layer. Finally the final layer produces the output of your input model. Okay, so this format we can varies depending on the specific task like a classification and regression. Okay, so this is the basics of neural network concepts.